Well, hey everybody, I think you know that one of the biggest things that's come out of this whole COVID crisis has been the need to do a lot of improvisation in dealing with things that we do. So last week I used a flip chart. Today the best I could get was a grip. And so I've got him here helping me. Drew Robinson's here. And frankly, just bringing you to a place because today is all about a very important announcement and an update that I'm excited to share with you, and that is that it is time for us to start talking about regathering and renewing the future of our church. Of course, all of this is aimed toward being able to reach people in the days to come and to see God use and work in our life and mission. And let me just say at the outset, everything else that I'm going to say is built upon one simple premise and principle: one another. One another. Whatever we do, we're going to be sure that we do it in the interest of one another. And so for that reason, what I'm sharing today is not for everyone, because we're not all at the same times, all at the same places, all at the same level of confidence, and all at the same level of understanding about where we need to be. But at the same time, I believe that it's now time for us to look toward gathering together and moving forward in ministry. But to do that is going to require some very specific steps. First and foremost, let me say this to everyone. We are going to continue our online worship every Sunday morning, just as we've done, and we will continue to do into the future, along with our television broadcast on WRDW in real time, meaning that we're not going to be a week delayed. We're going to try to be on message and on mark every week. So if you are vulnerable, feel susceptible, or not ready to re-engage with us, please understand that that is going to continue to be a real-time ministry to you and for you through the life of our church in these days. The biggest thing, though, that I think we're dealing with, and probably the biggest hurdle that we've got to get over, is the fact that the buildings that are so much a part of who we are and what we do, have been our biggest assets in ministry. I mean, our buildings are giving us a multi-purpose, multifunctional campus, and we're able to meet the needs of all kinds of people in all sorts of spaces and sizes and places. But right now, that's a liability, because when you get in a building, you suddenly realize that inside the building, we've got surfaces, we've got hallways, we've got common touch, we've got to figure out ingress and egress, we've got to figure out how to wipe down every item and article between the services. And then, please excuse me, and then when we get in a building, if we're wearing masks, if we're wearing gloves, that in and of itself is certainly nothing like church that we've ever done before. And on top of that, we have to deal with the issue of the expiration of breath, the climate control. All those things have become liabilities. So I've been trying to figure out, how can we take what is our greatest asset that's become our greatest liability and turn it back into an asset? And I believe the secret to that is where I'm sitting and what we're doing right now. It all has to do with the parking lot and has to do with outdoors. I'll say more about that in just a moment. But before I get to that, let me just say this. I have observed that the churches who have been careless about dealing with this matter have often been at the cause of so much of injury to people. And I don't want us to be there. I don't want us to do that. I want us to take care of our people, and I want to be sure that we avoid any potential crisis or concern. Drew, I think you've got a couple of news updates there. Tell us a little bit about some of the recent headlines that we have here.
That's right. Yeah, it's been really tough to see out of goodwill and good intention what's come from people who've just chosen to get back, I would say, too early. One of the things here talks about a choir, a church choir, who got back together to sing, and because they did so, 86% of the people in the choir ended up becoming infected with the virus, between just two simple choir practices and someone having cold-like symptoms. You see that 86% of those people got the virus. And then also another church, just eager to gather as we are, had to close just 2 weeks after reopening because families came down with the virus.
So this is a big deal. I mean, obviously we can be too quick in what we do, and we can be careless. I don't want us to do that. I don't want us to be reckless. I want us to be responsible, but I also want us to be proactive. And so here's what we're looking to do. We're looking to take our parking lots and begin to use them as park-like spaces. We believe that the greatest thing we can do is to begin to have the church outdoors. And because we know that the susceptibility to the virus is at a much lower level in outdoor areas versus indoor and common surfaces, we know that there's the opportunity to have a much higher level of care and protection. So here's what's happening. This Sunday, the 24th of May, not March, still back in March, 24th of May, we are going to have a special celebration for our seniors who are graduating from high school. We're having a one-time gathering at 10 a.m. with those seniors and just their immediate families. This is not open to anyone and everyone, but it's a way for us to capture a moment in life that we need to celebrate with them. And we're even encouraging people when that service is over at 11 a.m. to just do a drive-by in the front of the edge and be able to see them. But where I am right now is behind the edge, and I'm under a tent. And so what we're looking at doing is being able to use this tent and another one just like it in Grovetown to be the gathering place and space that we use on Sunday mornings in the immediate future. And so on May the 31st, the last Sunday of this month, we're going to do our first test service in this tent. We'll use the tent area that I'm in, the area just behind me, and then if all goes well, we're even going to begin to open the areas on the field behind it with unique spaces laid out so that you could even bring your own beach umbrella and maybe some folding chairs and be a part of that even as we set up chairs here. Now, on that date, the 31st, we're going to just do a test with just a select group of some of our life groups to come and check it out. Then, if all goes well, beginning on the 7th of June, we hope to do 2 services every Sunday morning, 8:30 and 10 a.m. on this campus, and then again in Grovetown as we come together and as we have opportunities, well, to do church outdoors. I think before we regather and try to realize how strange and different services are today than they were before, how much better it would be to have great experiences, face-to-face experiences, but in open places and spaces where we can remain without, touchless in what we do, obviously maintaining the sanitization of our hands, and also, of course, maintaining the distance that's needed. Another thing that we're looking at doing is to help our life groups. Now, many of you have been doing Zoom, and that's working great, and you just need to do that. But some of you are so eager to get together. Well, again, let's talk about the parking lots. And Drew, you've been working with several on our staff to be able to come up with a plan that we could do life group tailgate parties. So
right.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So as you see and as you know, many of you, the Augusta campus, there's a lot of space the Lord has given us around our building, typically for parking, often for ministry, like we look at the ball field right there and Upward Sports and such, but also at the Grovetown campus, we have these spaces outside. And what a good space it is to gather in this time when we need to be apart, when we need to be careful. And so what I'm excited to tell you today is that you're going to be able to, starting with our life groups, to tailgate together. So many of you have been using Zoom and Google Meet and Hangouts and even FaceTiming. And my hope is that you'll be able to gather together carefully, observing all of the social distancing guidelines and parameters that have been suggested for just a time of rejuvenation for your soul, to actually see those in your life group in person and not just through a screen. Like Pastor said, many of you have been doing that and will need to continue to meet in those ways. But for those of you who are able, for those of you who are eager to do so, we want to invite you to the campuses, both of them, through an invitation method, through an RSVP, where we've assigned spaces. We've even looked at the way that the sun comes and goes in the morning, the midday, and the afternoon, to have some good spaces to use to meet, to gather together, to talk. For sure, many of you are just going to want to get together and enjoy each other's company, maybe to teach. I would encourage many of you who won't have kids running around to still use this time to dive into the Word and to learn together, just to listen to each other and hear of the different things that have gone on that maybe you haven't had the time to share with digitally and through the video conferencing things. Maybe just to sit, maybe to sing. Some of you will want to worship, but this is a tailgate experience for you and for your life group to be able to decide what will work for you guys. I suggest you keep the expectation low and figure out what works and doesn't work along the way. I really hope and pray and believe that it's going to be a rich time for you guys to be able to gather, to be back in a familiar and encouraging and an exciting space back on both of our campuses, for our life groups to be together. We talk about stirring one another toward love and good works, being in each other's presence, or what I've thought about already, Zooming to meet and hang out and actually get FaceTime. with each other will be something that can love and encourage you with one another, not neglecting to meet together. You've done such a good job, as Pastor said, meeting digitally, but I'm so excited to be here to see you on the campus, for us to help give you this space and this time to meet, to tailgate.
So new experiences, that's what this is going to be about. And hey, let's just prepare for the type of experience. We're talking about being outside. So that means on Sunday mornings, you may want to wear your shorts and flip-flops. That's fine. This is going to be an outdoor experience. It's going to be hot. We might even get wet. But all of that being true, we just want to be ready to be able to gather and to do it safely, and yet to do it with new experience and new opportunity. And I'll say a lot more about all of this in my message on Sunday morning, and I'll lay out a little bit more of the extent of that plan. But one of the things that we obviously are also looking at doing is maybe here in the coming weeks offering some play dates for our families and their kids, being able, now that some of the parks are opening, to use these brand new resources that we have on our Augusta campus to be able to let children have a playground area and some experiences like that as well. Here's the key. We've got to be careful, we've got to be respectful, we've got to be flexible, we've got to be teachable, and of course we need to be prayerful. So I'm counting on you to be doing those things with us as we talk about the next steps in this plan. But hey, I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to take the church outdoors, and we believe that getting outdoors is going to be the opportunity to get into some hearts and lives and homes unlike ever before. As I close this video today, I cannot help but just share with you a passage of Scripture that was brought to me this week. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 17 says this, "But since we were torn away from you, brothers, for a short time, in person, not in heart, we endeavored more eagerly and with great desire to see you face to face." Well, that's where we are. I'm ready to see you. I think we're ready to get face to face. Not to shake hands, not to be closer than 6 feet, not to fail to do everything else we need to do, but to take advantage of the beautiful, wonderful campus that God has given us, and to answer the calling of coming together, lifting the voice together of our church and worship, and gathering His people in order to grow in fellowship and encouragement together. Hey, the Lord bless you. Look for a little more on this on Sunday.